Oops. There we go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our post-race coverage. Let's get things straightened out. Active topic will be our race recap. So we'll break down the race. Just go over our highlights, kind of give our thoughts. So lap 1, Denny Hamlin led them off. We'll get back to Denny. Lap 27, our first big caution for incident. Kyle Busch just gets loose and spins from 17th position. Lap 36, Josh Berry spins after contact from Chase Elliott. So Chase just drove it in there, washed up the track a little bit, slight contact, ends up sending Berry around, and that takes out Berry. So Berry is now dead last in the points, and he's in a win in your position. So 2 really bad races from Josh Berry. He really hasn't had a good race since he won, but, that's another story. Lap 45, Chase Briscoe ends up taking stage 1. Let's go ahead and look at our stage 1 results. Let's pull that up. NASCAR annoying me. Hey, please turn off your pop-up blocker. All right, let's take a look. Properties. Here we go. Our stage 1 results. Chase Briscoe taking stage 1. Kyle Larson P2. Denny Hamlin P3. William Byron P4. Ryan Blaney P5. In 6th, we have Bubba Wallace. 7th, Christopher Bell. 8th, Ross Chastain. 9th, Zane Smith. And 10th, Chase Elliott. And, Shane Van Gisbergen barely missing out on stage points. He had a great stage 1. It just didn't pan out for him. Bowman started lower in the field, worked his way up to 18th, so things were working in his direction. Joey also making up a ton of ground to get to 15th. So good there. Tyler Reddick, not so good, 21st. Austin Dillon, 26th. And Josh Berry dead last for our playoff drivers. So we'll get back to our recap. Then stage 2 starts. Chase Briscoe on lap 61 locks it up and crashes Suarez. So gets into his left rear, sends him up the track, and that pretty much ended Suarez's day. He was able to continue, but obviously not competitive. And I don't know if you guys saw Daniel Suarez's car. He was running a waffle car. So it had the imprint of a waffle in the syrup. So it was a cool looking car, but not a good day for Daniel Suarez. Lap 76, Ty Dillon spins off the nose of his brother, Austin Dillon. So some brother-on-brother violence. We saw on Twitter people were posting memes of stepbrothers, of Will Ferrell and I forget the other guy's name. But yeah, you guys know stepbrothers. So yeah, rough to see them get into each other. Austin Dillon seemed pretty upset that he got into his brother there. And, Richard Childress, I bet he wasn't too happy about that either. So stage 2 comes to an end, even though I don't have that in my recap, but we'll go ahead and look at our stage 2 results. So stage 2, Bubba Wallace takes the stage win. Brad Keselowski 2nd, Joey 3rd. So Joey made a great run here, stayed out, ran long, and was able to make the best of it. So great rebound for Joey here. Crazy to see him work his way up through the field with strategy. Kyle Larson P4, 5th, Christopher Bell, 6th, Austin Dillon, 7th, Denny Hamlin, 8th, Chase Elliott, 9th, John Hunter Nemechek, and 10th, Ross Chastain. So looking back through our playoff drivers, Austin Cindric missing out on points, Tyler Reddick and William Byron both missing out, Blaney, Briscoe, Van Gisbergen all missing out on points, and I think the big story here is Alex Bowman at the end of stage 2, because it looks like Bowman was going to be able to hold on and get stage points. I'll make myself a little bigger. It looked like he was going to be able to hold on and get some stage points, and it looks like he was going to finish in 7th when the caution fell. I guess it may have been the caution for... I forget which caution it was. But anyway, when the caution fell, Alex Bowman had a terrible pit stop. It's the same story as last week. He qualifies poorly. He works his way to the front, or towards the front, and the pit crew lets him down. So he rolls off in like 28th, we have a bevy of cautions after this, so he keeps coming back down to make strategy work, and we'll get to that towards the end of it when we review the race results. Now in lap 134, Ryan Blaney spins after contact from Kyle Larson. I almost said Chase Elliott. I have it written down as Chase Elliott, but it was really indefensible. Let's see if we can get a replay of. Yes, we do. We have a replay. So, taking a look here. I mean, Larson just takes a really shallow entry, washes up the track, and gets right into him. They'd been running door to door. They hadn't really made contact. Nothing really, bad had happened. So I'm not sure if Larson just got fed up being run tight, or, you don't really see him get loose here. Just shallow entry, washes up the track, and gets right into the back of Blaney. Takes him out. Blaney was reasonably irritated after that. So, I mean, crazy stuff. I really don't know why that happened. Then on lap 150, we have a caution for debris. One of the brake marker signs that were hooked to the fence ended up falling off onto the track, bringing out the caution, which is hilarious because if you play NASCAR Heat, those brake markers exist in the game, and one of those signs is what I use for my brake point, but I suck at World Weather Tech. And on lap 156, so we're just having caution after caution right now, SVG spins, and several cars were up the track. Tyler Reddick got up the track, William Byron got up the track, but SVG did not have the same luck they did continuing on. He ended up spinning and bringing out the caution. And really just not the day SVG wanted. Even with the cushion SVG had going into the playoffs, terrible day at Darlington and another terrible day here. So Alex Bowman and SVG are kind of running neck and neck in that regard. And then on lap 208, Ty Dillon's brakes break. He ends up having a brake failure and just ends up riding the wall. See if we can get a replay of that as well. Yep. Ends up riding the wall. That's a smart decision. A lot of drivers in this situation will panic and try to cut the wheel to the left to make the corner, and they end up spinning, backing into the wall, maybe hitting the wall driver's side. Bubba Wallace has done that at Pocono. Jimmy Johnson's done that at Pocono. You've seen Jeff Gordon do that at Pocono. So it's common for guys with brake failures to try to crank the wheel to the left and still make the corner, when really what you should do in the situation is what Ty did here. Just end up riding the wall. It's still going to be a heavy impact, but not as sudden of an impact. And then at the run to the end, it ran long. So it almost worked out for Alex Bowman. Let's see what the last caution was. I may have not recorded the last caution. That was the last caution. So that caution ended up coming out right after Bowman and pit. And at the time, Bowman looked like he was going to cycle towards the top 10. So it would have been a day save for Alex Bowman if he had been able to hold on to that position. Bowman, under his pit stop, was too fast on pit road and ended up having to go to the tail end, and he never really recovered from there. And running towards the end, Denny Hamlin was able to get the lead on the restart and never let it go. Chase Briscoe wasn't able to compete with his 2 tires that he took, but he was able to hold off Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney at the end. I think Blaney probably had the fastest car at the end, and even with all that extra speed, even with fresher tires, he wasn't able to get around Briscoe or Elliott. So Briscoe was already locked in. So he did his job. He, kind of held off 2 faster cars and protected Denny Hamlin there at the end. And it was kind of annoying to see guys that had older tires, guys that were saving fuel, able to hold the lead. We've seen that time and time again with this next-gen car. We saw a lot of aero blocking today, especially when Joey Logano was in the lead. So it's just next-gen car problems. We see it time and time again. Even with the issues, it was still a decent race because of how the cautions fell. You had guys on different strategies, so you had a lot of comers and goers, guys on new tires, guys on older tires. But towards the end, I mean, even with like 20 to go, it was like, yeah, this race is kind of decided. You know, no one's getting around Briscoe. No one's making up ground on him. So it really wasn't up for debate. So let's go ahead and look at our race results. So we have Denny Hamlin taking the win. So he's going to lock himself into the next round. Chase Briscoe second. He's already locked into the next round. So Chase Briscoe, you know, average finish of 1.5 over the last 2 weeks. Third, Chase Elliott. Good finish for a Hendrick car at Worldwide Technology Raceway. I want to call it World Weather Tech. I really want to call it Gateway. That's what I know it as. Fourth, Ryan Blaney. Fifth, Joey Logano. Sixth, John Hunter Nemechek. Seventh, Christopher Bell. Eighth, Bubba Wallace. Ninth, Chris Buescher. 10th, Ty Gibbs. 11th, William Byron. He really didn't have the best day. He was up front occasionally, but usually he was around here running from like 11th to around 15th. Just not really a great day for Byron. Larson, he was up towards the front a few different times throughout the race, and looks like he may have had the fastest car, at least at the start. But especially after sustaining the damage to his rear diffuser when the flap fell, they had to come back down pit road and repair that, and he didn't make up the track position there. Ryan Preece, 13th. 14th, Michael McDowell. 15th, Carson Hocevar. Quiet day for Carson. I thought perhaps maybe on this, you know, more narrow track, Carson would take somebody out, but, you know, ended up making it through clean, so good for him. Tyler Reddick in 16th. 17th, Brad Keselowski. 18th, Austin Dillon. And 19th, Austin Cindric. He was up front at certain times in the race, running, you know, within the top 10. So disappointing finish for Cindric. You know, he's right there on the cut line, so he needed a better run for sure. 20th, Stenhouse Jr. 21st, Eric Jones. 22nd, Kyle Busch. 23rd, AJ Allmendinger. 24th, Ross Chastain. 25th, Shane Van Gisbergen. So we have 3 playoff drivers here. Alex Bowman, 26th. So really bad runs for these guys. Ross was actually running again up towards the front, but his car just seemed to fall off throughout the day. It seemed like his car was the best at the start, and he just kept losing positions. And especially with how the cautions fell, he ends up getting this really poor finish. Alex Bowman, horrible day. Qualified terribly, but ended up working his way forward with strategy and stopping at different times, making up a few positions on track, a few positions on restarts. And it looked like he was going to get stage points in stage 2. He was in 7th position, holding steady, and, you know, he would have received 4 stage points. It would have been huge, but the caution fell, and he came down pit road, had the slow stop that put him towards the rear. They ran strategy, and they were in position to restart about 10th on that last restart, but then Alex Bowman sped on pit road. So serving that penalty, he never really made his way back forward. He was able to get around some of these slower drivers, but wasn't able to clear Shane Van Gisbergen. So not a good day for those guys. Alex Bowman, Shane Van Gisbergen, Josh Berry, they're definitely in a win-in-your-in situation. So not good for them. Then we have Cole Custer, who may be switching to Chevy next year. There's been some rumors around Haas switching to Chevy. I'm not sure if that's been announced yet, but very interesting. You know, it's kind of weird that they're switching to Chevy because there's so many Chevy teams. They're probably not going to get the best support from Chevy unless they partner with Hendrick Motorsports. I don't know. There's not that many Ford teams, so you feel like they would get better manufacturer support running with Ford, but here they go switching potentially. Justin Haley, 28th. Not a good day for Justin Haley. That 7 car, I think, is cursed. You know, Corey LaJoie had a rough time with it, and Justin Haley had better finishes in Rick Ware equipment. So it's really weird here seeing him just finish 1 position ahead of his old car in what should have been better equipment. And really, the only guy who's had good runs for Spire this year has been Hocevar. Even McDowell has been running worse than he did at front row. So Spire has to figure something out. Then we have Noah Gragson in 30th. Rough day for Noah. 31st, Riley Herbst, the third 2311 car. I don't know about you guys, but I personally forget that he even exists. There's several times I just think, okay, they have the 45 and the 23. 23-11, they're a solid team. You know, some good finishes. And then I remember the 35 exists. And Riley Herbst just needs to go back to Xfinity because clearly the next-gen car doesn't suit him or he just isn't ready. And honestly, Riley Herbst never impressed me in Xfinity. So, you know, he's kind of a paid driver. The rumor is that his family funded the charter that he's running in. So if 2311 ends up having issues over the offseason due to them losing a charter, it would be interesting to see if Riley Herbst ends up somewhere else in a chartered ride, considering his family may have funded that charter. Anyway, 34th, Ty Dillon after the brake failure. 35th, Daniel Suarez after getting run into by SVG. I think. No, who ran into him? It's in my notes. We already talked about it, so who cares? Anyway, 36th, Josh Berry after Chase Elliott took him out. And Josh Berry was very classy in his interview. He could have been angry. He seems like a nice guy. And he said, hey, that team's done a lot for me in my career. It probably wasn't on purpose. Just disappointing. So classy from Josh Berry. And really, the drivers kept it pretty classy. A lot of guys, you know, made moves against each other that could have warranted retaliation. You know, Larson taking out Blaney, but we didn't see any retaliation there. Mostly because Larson had that diffuser issue and fell back through the field. But, you know, just not a great day for a lot of playoff drivers that needed good days. Oops. So we're going over our results. I needed to update that. So, you know, interesting day. You know, Gateway, it widened out really well yesterday for the Xfinity race. And the Xfinity car showed that Gateway's not a bad track. It's just when you take a car like the next-gen car, it's going to make passing difficult. Even as the track widened out, it never widened out as much as the Xfinity race, but even as it widened out, it didn't really improve. So as a reminder, guys, we're going to have a call-in segment here in a second. So if you guys want to call in, go ahead and join our Discord. Use that link in the chat and comment on my latest chat. If anyone wants to call in, reply to that comment, and I will call you guys here in a second if anyone's interested in calling in and sharing their thoughts. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments on the race, feel free to share those when we get to our call-in section. So let's go ahead and look and see if they have updated the playoff picture yet. All right. We do have the standings posted. So let's review our playoff picture. So first, Denny Hamlin advancing, obviously. So I think that's his 5th win of the year. So great year for Denny, especially as he's aging. It's very impressive how he's been able to hold on. Second, Chase Briscoe advancing, finishing 2nd place today. So a really strong run for Briscoe. And I firmly believe if Briscoe's able to make it to Phoenix, he might be a championship favorite because one of Briscoe's best tracks is at Phoenix. Kyle Larson holding on to 3rd. Bubba Wallace 4th. You know, great points for Bubba Wallace. Ryan Blaney 5th. Good day for him even after being spun. William Byron 6th. Not a, you know, pretty midday. 7th, Tyler Reddick. Not a good day for him. 8th, Christopher Bell. He had a fast car throughout several parts of the race, but, you know, just not really a great, you know, standing to show for it. 9th, Chase Elliott. I think he was the highest finishing Hendrick car. The Hendrick cars usually run poorly at Gateway outside of Kyle Larson. So good finish for him. Joey Logano starting way deep in the field. He had a really good day. You know, several times running towards the front, leading at moments. So, I mean, great effort from the 22 team. 11th, Ross Chastain. Ran well at the start. The car just fell off throughout the run and throughout the race. So finishing just right above, I think around 25th, right above, or 24th, right above Shane Van Gisbergen. 12th, Austin Cindric. Ran well at times, but like Ross, he just fell off throughout the day. 13th, Austin Dillon. He ended up getting a better finish than he deserved. He ended up taking out his brother during the race. Wasn't a great time. 14th, Shane Van Gisbergen. After winning 4 races in the regular season and starting with a decent advantage over the field, he's already lost that points lead and then some. So he's below the cut line. He had a terrible day at Darlington. He had a really terrible day here at Gateway outside of stage 1. And then 15th, Alex Bowman. Terrible time at Darlington, especially with the slow pit stop, the 40-second pit stop. And then they did it again. Another terrible pit stop and then a speeding penalty later in the race. So Alex Bowman in a win and you're in situation pretty much. You know, Austin's there is a path. If one of these guys above the cut line wrecks out and Alex Bowman scores maximum stage points and finishes, you know, really well, top 10, he could point his way in. But it looks like a win and you're in situation for Bowman next week at Bristol. And Josh Berry, definitely a win and you're in for him. And with Josh Berry, he is more of a short track racer. So if he has a shot, if there's anything left in that Wood Brothers 21, they need to bring it next week at Bristol and hopefully, you know, show something off. If it was the Xfinity car, I would say, yeah, Josh Berry has a shot to win. But with this next gen car and how it performed last year during the Bristol night race, I don't know how many positions he's going to be able to make up. So, you know, that's up in the air. So definitely 2 of these guys in a win and you're in. SVG and Dillon could still point their way in. And if you're really any of these guys, you know, 9th back, you know, Chase Elliott's had a good year, good points year, only 1 win. But, I mean, right there on the edge. So not that great, not safe. Not safe. Let's pull up a second tab. And let's see. If we can find the Winston Cup points. This is our playoff standings we were just looking at. That's old. That's really old. All right, let's see if they posted the Winston Cup Series standings. Let's go. All right, here's our top 10 for the Winston Cup points. So even though this isn't our real points, I still like looking at it. Chase Elliott would be leading even after, you know, with the only 1 win. He's ran very consistent this year. And what's crazy to me, I wouldn't have guessed this before I saw the points over the last few weeks. Chase Briscoe's second. It's only an 8-point battle. NASCAR says that we need a playoff system. We need a chase system. We need some kind of postseason system to keep the playoff battle interesting. But look at this. Any of the top 8 could win the championship, you know, with certain things going, you know, in different directions. Any of these guys can still win because under the Latford system, they awarded more points per race. They awarded points for leading the most laps. They awarded points for leading a lap. So there are several ways these guys could make up points. And this battle's still tight. I mean, you have the top 7 all within 200 points of each other. You have the top 3, 50 points with it, you know. So this is what we could have if we had a season-long points, if we had the old point system. So I love looking at the Winston Cup points. So if you guys don't already follow the Winston Cup Series standings, it's definitely worth it. Let's take a look at our full... Oh, dear. Our full standings. So where would some of these guys run? Alex Bowman would be 13th. Bubba would be 14th. So Bubba in the actual standings, I think he's 4th. And so in the season long, he would be 14th. So, I mean, the season long standings would definitely shake things up. And, you know, I and a lot of other people agree that we should go back to this. Some people want to compromise. They want to go back to the chase instead. But that's what we have. So if you guys want to call in and share your thoughts, ask questions, whatever, now is your time. Go ahead and join our Discord. The link is in the pinned comment, and it's the last chat. So if you guys want to join our Discord, go ahead and comment, and I will give you guys a call. You guys can share your thoughts. I give you guys a few minutes to say or ask whatever you want. If not, we will wrap up this post-race coverage in a moment. Let's go ahead and look and see what NASCAR Twitter is saying. Not people. Let's go to top. Repost to congratulate Denny. No, thank you. NASCAR Insights, another great page to follow. Denny Hamlin wins his 59th career race at St. Louis. 59 wins is one behind Kevin Harvick for 10th all time. 5 wins in 2025 are the most of all drivers. Toyota wins their 200th Cup Series race, 4th manufacturer to accomplish this. Pretty impressive. Another replay of that Larson incident. Larson getting into Blaney. Insane how that happened. I'm a Larson fan, but I can't defend him on this. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you defend that. I mean, Blaney was running him clean. You know, great fanfare. Well, Worldwide Technology Raceway, they always seem to pack the stands. And, you know, this display of pyro at the start of the race is iconic. And Bill Murray's command to start the race was excellent. So, you know, overall, you know, I'm glad I watched the race. I enjoyed the race, but it could have been better. If the next gen car didn't exist, I think it would have been better. But, you know, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and check our Discord one last time. Doesn't seem like we have any responses for anyone wanting to call in. So if you guys have any thoughts or any questions, post them in the chat. If not, we will wrap things up here shortly. Well, for now, we'll just keep looking at NASCAR Twitter, see what people are saying. Yeah, some people are not happy that Denny's our winner. That's crazy. Yeah, a lot of people upset. A lot of people a lot of people are upset from Denny Hamlin winning. Pulling the cord in and out. Yeah. The coverage, I don't know if for you guys, the coverage was cutting out for me. Yes, Denny Hamlin took home the win. Started on the pole, ended up finishing there. So, decent day overall for Denny. You know, even this late in his career, he's performing very well. So, you know, I don't want to see him win the championship, but I am, you know, okay with him running well. Once these drivers start nearing the end of the career, they normally fall off. So it's very impressive seeing him run well. I'm not a Denny fan, but, you know, I wish Kyle Busch could be having these types of finishes. I wish Brad Keselowski could be having these types of finishes because they carried the sport for a long time. They're elder statesmen now. It would be good to see them win, but, you know, those two aren't as fortunate as Denny's been. He's definitely running in the best equipment of all three of them. Bill Murray. Interesting stuff. A lot of people just upset at the end of the race. Yeah, I mean, Chris, you seem pretty upset too. All right, guys. Let's see. Where are we racing next week? Oh yeah. The night race. That's right. So where is our next truck race? So oh yeah, we have a triple header next weekend. So we have the truck race on Thursday. We'll probably go live for that. So I'll see you guys here. Friday night, we have another race. We have the Xfinity race. Probably going to be the best race of the weekend. So I'm very excited for that. It'll be interesting to see if Connor Zilic can do it on the short track. He's done it everywhere else. I mean, if Connor doesn't win his title for the Xfinity Series, we need to obliterate the playoff system. But their next race will be Friday at 6:30, so we'll be here for that. And then on Saturday, we have the Cup night race. So I don't know if we'll be here like we are for this during that race because LSU plays at the exact same time. Big game. It's their opening of conference play. They're playing against Florida. So I'm definitely going to have my focus on the LSU game. So I haven't quite nailed that down if we're going to be live for the whole thing. Our stream may be live, but we may not be here the whole time. Sometimes I'll go in there and watch the game, and then during commercials or halftime, I come back here and commentate a bit or show highlights. So we'll make that decision later in the week. I may just end up getting a second monitor or a third monitor. That way I can watch them both, but I don't really want to have my attention split. Thank you guys. There's 51 of you still in here. We've had over 1,000 people in our post-race show, our post-race coverage. So hopefully, you know, later on we can get more people calling in. We've only had a few people call in throughout the history of our post-race coverage, our live post-race coverage. But it's always good to see you guys here. Big shout out to our lurkers, because that makes up the majority of you guys make up our audience. Not as many people chat, because I know a lot of people watch us on the television. So, I mean, we have a very exciting weekend of racing potentially. For the Cup Series, it may not be doom and gloom. Last year's fall race wasn't that good, but this year may be better because they are taking a softer tire compound. So there should be more fall off, and they should be running a little faster at the start of the run. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it generates some passing, generates better racing. Oh my goodness. This is crazy to see. Tickets still available for next week's Bristol race. If there wasn't a huge LSU game, I would go, but it's a big game. I went last year. It was pretty disappointing. It's actually the video that you see at the start of our streams. So that's last year's Bristol night race. So, you know, hopefully this year's better. But you can see, you know, Bristol used to sell out every year, and Bristol had more seats back then. Nowadays, they've removed seats for drink rails, and some seats are sometimes aproned over. You know, they have a sponsor over it. So it's disappointing to not see Bristol sell out like it used to. You know, back in the day, there was a wait list just to get tickets for Bristol. So, you know, NASCAR is definitely in a different place than it used to be. But hopefully more of these seats will get sold. It's just hard to compete with college football in the fall. But, you know, NASCAR runs pretty much year round. So they have to put up with NBA at certain points in the year. They have to put up with MLB most of the year. And they have to put up with NFL and college football as competitors towards the second half of the year. And during Summer Olympics, you know, every 4 years, they have to put up with that for a few weeks. So, you know, NASCAR is always going to head-to-head with other sports. But, you know, if they improve the racing, the fans will come back. You know, maybe not to the highs of the early 2000s, but it definitely could improve. Just sad seeing this. You know, there's some negative opinions out there. I definitely have my share of negative opinions, but I still enjoy it. I still enjoy watching the races every week. It's just the knowledge of knowing the racing could be better. You know, seeing the Xfinity cars and how they can race, it's exciting. They can actually pass and, you know, be dynamic with their moves. The driver can make a difference. And then we see this Cup car, and guys can save fuel and hold the lead. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But, I mean, overall, you know, interesting race. There were some comers and goers. I think what made the race interesting, at least at the start, was the cautions when they fell, because certain guys were coming in and pitting, other guys were staying out. And so it did create some difference in strategy. And at times it felt more like a road course. How track position was extremely important, but the main strategy, the main plays for position were on pit road. So I thought that was interesting towards the start. The run at the end didn't help, especially with how Briscoe was only on 2 tires and was able to hold off 2 fast cars with Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney. But it is what it is. We'll go ahead and look at our Discord one last time. Doesn't look like anyone wants to call in. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up things, guys, here. We may go live a little later. I'm not sure what with. I'm not going to race at World Weather Tech, I'll tell you that. But we do all kinds of streaming here. We stream NASCAR video games. We stream, you know, obviously the NASCAR races. And we do all kinds of games. We'll do scary games, we'll do shooters, we'll do, you know, anything. So we've been around for pretty much, I think, 14 years now on YouTube. So we have over 1,000 videos up, tons of live streams. So if you guys would like to join our community, we have a pretty close-knit community, hit that subscribe button, and I would love to see you guys in future streams. But we'll be back next Thursday for the truck race. So if you're here just for the race coverage, look forward to then. And you know, I'm excited for Bristol. It's definitely my favorite track, with Talladega being right there as a close number 2. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's an interesting race. And hope you guys have a good one in the meantime. And whenever we have our next stream, hopefully I see you guys then. And that should do it.